Hello guys, welcome to my channel Lucid Fanfic, and if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest videos. So be sure to stick around until the end, and let's get started. The monitoring room. Thank you all for waiting. Hope none of you got bored. All Might says having returned from Recovery Girl's office. All Might, are they going to be okay? Ochako asked, worried. Captain Midoriya and young Bakugo will be fine. They both just need rest. Now tell me who is the MVP? Much later, classes continued until all the matches ended. As Izuku continues to sleep, only. How do I know you're not tricking me? How do I know it won't be a trap? Palpatine will try to have me killed. I promise you that. Fives yelled after telling Izuku about the inhibitor chips. The Safety Commission representative? Izuku asked, confused. He's in on it. I don't know how much, but I know he's behind most of this. He told me at the hospital. What? You tried to assassinate him. There's no way Palpatine is capable of what you claim. Izuku argued. He is. I swear to you, Captain. You have no idea. Izuku then opens his eyes from yet another nightmare. Oh, you're awake. Izuku turns to see the school nurse, the youthful heroine, Recovery Girl, as he looks too down to see his arm has completely healed. Ugh, how long was I out? He asks. You have been here all afternoon. I understand you're a soldier, but you must be more careful. You got right in the middle of that explosion, and if you hadn't been wearing that armor, you could have died. You may go now, but be more careful, understood? She asks. Yes, ma'am. Izuku says as he grabs his helmet, putting it on before leaving. Izuku walks the halls before arriving to class. 1A only to be bombarded by the students. Hey, Captain. The way you fought against Bakugo was so manly. Kirishima says. Hey man, I'm Hantashiro. You were awesome out there. Siro says. I'm Koikajiro, and when you jumped in the middle of that blast to save Yaoyorozu, I thought that was really cool. She says while playing with her jacks. I'm Mina Ishido, and your dodges were amazing. She says excitedly as Izuku takes off his helmet. I'm Tsuyu Azui, but you can call me Tsu. I hope we can be friends. Midoriya Karo. Sure thing, Tsu. He says with a smile, making the frog girl smile and blush. Deku, are you okay? Izuku turns as Yaoyorozu approaches him. Yeah, nothing too serious. What about you? He asks as Yaoyorozu smiles in relief. I'm fine. Thanks you so much. I'm sorry I couldn't help you. She says, bowing. It's all right, Yaoyorozu. I was just doing what I was trained for, so I'm sorry I worried you. He says, rubbing the back of his neck. Yaoyorozu blushes, then smiles back. Some in the classroom find it strange, while Shoto Todoroki glares. While he appreciates that he pushed her out of the way in time, he hates that Momo has developed some kind of interest in the ARC captain, as Izuku notices Todoroki looking at him. Todoroki, is there a problem? Izuku asks, confused. Todoroki is about to tell Izuku to stay away from Momo, but Kaminari and Uraraka enter the room, holding some books. Hey Uraraka, after this, want to go get something to eat? What do you like? Kaminari asks. I like. Uraraka stops talking when she sees Captain Deku. Deku, she says, dropping the books and running over to him. Deku, are you okay? I was so worried. She says as Izuku smiles. Hee, don't worry, Uraraka, I'm fine now. Sorry for worrying you. Ochako smiles brightly as Izuku notices some of the boys giving him thumbs up, others with envy, manly Todoroki over him and Momo, as well as Mineta who's crying, while Yaoyorozu looks at Uraraka and frowns. What is this feeling? She thinks. Where's Bakugo? Izuku asks. Oh, Katsuki, just lift. I had a serious talk with him earlier. Slap. Uraraka hits Bakugo hard to leave a handprint. What the hell is wrong with you? You could have killed them. Uraraka yells, angry at her boyfriend. That Quirkless freak is trying to steal you from me. Stay away from him. Bakugo shouts, shocking her. What? No, he's not. Me and Deku are only friends, and I'll hang out with him if I want. He treats me better than you do, and if you can't accept that we should break up. Ochako says, walking away, leaving Bakugo shocked and angry. Deku, he says, holding his injured shoulder where Izuku shot him. I'm gonna make you pay for hesitating me and stealing my girl. He growls. Beep, beep. The comm link in Izuku's helmet starts to beep as Izuku puts his helmet on and hits the button. This is Deku, yes? Captain Midoriya, come by my office. Your mother has arrived. All Might says, making Izuku sigh. Why yes, sir. Izuku says, turning and walking out of the classroom, leaving everyone to wonder what that was about. All Might's office. Izuku stands just outside the All Might office as he shakingly knocks on the door. Come in, a booming voice says. Izuku walks into the room and sees All Might, and Izuku. Izuku freezes as if he's seen a ghost, because right in front of him is someone he hasn't seen in over a decade. And though she has gained some weight and is now much smaller, this is her, his mother, Inko Midoriya. You've grown so much. Why, you're so big. You almost look like a mini version of Toshi, she says, amazed. Izuku doesn't say anything, feeling so many emotions, mostly anger, sadness, and happiness. May I see your face? She asks, nervous. Izuku sighs before taking off his helmet as Inko looks at her son in shock. Izuku, she says, putting her hand over her mouth, crying immediately, noticing the scars on his eye. There's not much to look at here, Mom. I'm still the same Quirkless freak you threw a bottle at, he says, glaring. Izuku, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, she shouts, crying waterfalls on her knees, bowing to him as All Might wages, hoping this well ends positively. But he is also struggling to hold his form. Izuku looks at Inko, finding her pathetic, but also pitying the broken woman. See, come on now, Mom, don't cry. It's all right, Izuku says, walking over to her, getting on his knee as Inko hugs Izuku, shocking the Advanced Recon Commando captain. Izuku, my baby boy, I'm so sorry for everything. I love you, and I want to make things right. Please give me a chance, she shouts, tears streaming down her cheeks. Izuku sighs, taking a moment to take in everything, cause in truth he's not ready to forgive Inko for what she did. Look, Mom, I can't forgive you, at least not yet. Inko looks at her son shocked, but smiles, believing her son is at least giving her a chance to make things right. And then, cough, cough, as All Might suddenly grab his chest as his skin starts emit steam and BLD begins dripping from his mouth. All Might, are you alright? Izuku asks, about to rush over and help him, but is stopped by Inko. SHD, too soon. Izuku hears a much less booming voice say as the smoke clears to see a very skinny man with sharp angular features, long limbs, and a long neck with no eyebrows. What the hell? Who are you? An imposter. Mom, get behind me, Izuku shouts, pulling out his DC-17 pistols and pointing them at the man. Toshinori and Inko go pale as Inko quickly gets between the two. Izuku, stop. This is All Might. Mom, out of the way. This could be a villain with a shape-shifting quick, Izuku says as All Might raise his hands. Why, young man? Lower your blasters. I assure you, I am All Might, Toshinori says, waving his hands in air. Izuku slowly lowers his pistols before holstering them. Thank you, Captain Midoriya, for not shooting me, he says as Inko walks over to him with a handkerchief. Thank you, honey, he says, cleaning the BLD off his mouth. All Might, why are you like this? Izuku asks, still confused. So you know. Oh, those guys at the pool are always ducking in air and flexing, trying to look all buff? All Might explain as both he and Inko imagine a man trying to hide their stomach by skiing in air. As Izuku nods, understanding. I'm like that, All Might says before he reaches for the hem of his shirt, as he rises it up to reveal a horrible scar even worse than the ones Izuku has on his face or body. Holy SHD, Izuku says. See the scar? He asks, noticing Izuku go pale seeing the big scar that covers most of the left side of his face, and it looks painful, like someone perked that whole side of his stomach. Who the hell did that to you? Izuku asked, wondering what villain could possibly have damaged the #1 hero so badly. For now, it's best you not know. Most of the world doesn't even know of this fight, and I wanted to stay that way, so please keep this under wraps. Understand? All Might ask as Izuku nods. Good now, young man, let's all sit and chat, he says. Much later, after 2 hours of taking, crying mostly from Inko, and learning what happened to each other over the past decade, Izuku is about to head for the door as Inko stops him. Izuku, yeah, Mom? He asks, turning to her. I'm so proud of you, son, she says, tears in her eyes with All Might behind her smiling. Izuku nods, smiling. Before smiling, he puts his helmet on and walks out of the room. Toshinori walks over to his girlfriend as she holds on to him, leaning her head on his shoulder. I'm so glad Izuku is here. Toshi, Promise me you'll keep an eye on him. She says, I will. I promise. I will protect your son, even if it cost me my life. All Might says as Inko asks him a question. Toshi, why didn't you tell him about OFA, and you know who? Inko asks, because he's not ready yet. I do believe that Captain Midoriya is the right one to succeed me. However, that choice is now young Mirio's decision. If he believes he should have it, he will give it to him, but Sir Naitai isn't happy about it. All Might says. Later. Hello and welcome. A young lady standing behind a cash register says only for her to freeze when Izuku walks in still in his armor as he grabs a shopping cart. In truth, Izuku hates shopping, but he's low on food and supplies. As he's in the produce section, he sees a woman on the other side with snow-white hair mixed with stripes of red. As she finishes grabbing a few vegetables, the woman looks up and immediately jumps, falling on her, but scared. Miss, are you all right? Izuku asked immediately, rushing over to help her up. Why yes, thank you, she says shyly before walking away. Well, that was interesting, he says, shrugging before going to the meat department. But to his surprise, that same white-haired woman. What the? There she is again. Got to say she's very pretty, but is it just me or does she look like? Achoo. The woman sneezes, snapping Izuku from his thoughts. Bless you, ma'am. Izuku yells with a voice much louder than it should have been, making several people look at him, making the ARC captain blush embarrassed, very grateful his helmet is on, but then notices the woman looking at him and him alone. Thank you, she says, smiling awkwardly. Later, after paying for everything, Izuku walks outside, only to be met by a thunderstorm. Nice, but it shouldn't be a problem for me since I'm wearing my armor. He thinks only to notice the same woman from earlier looking as if she forgot to bring her umbrella. Excuse me, ma'am. The woman turns spooked, freezing when she sees his DC-17 pistols and holsters on his belt. What do you want? Please, don't hurt me. Izuku then lowers his bags and removes his helmet to show her his face. Izuku smiles softly, making the woman stop shaking and even blush. Oh my god, he's so handsome, the girl thinks. Sorry if I scared you earlier, that wasn't my intention, haha. Izuku says, chuckling, rubbing the back of his head. It's okay, I'm sorry I acted the way I did. I've been under a lot of stress lately, with my dad and little brothers arguing all the time. She says, smiling. Izuku can tell that there's more to this woman than what meets the eye, but he decides not to ask her what's going on. You don't have an umbrella by chance, do you? Izuku asks. No, I forgot mine at home. I meant to check the weather this morning, but forgot. I'm an ARC captain in the Grand Army of Japan. Want me to escort you to the train station? It's not safe out here, he asks. Fumi thinks for a moment before smiling and nodding. She can't lie, she's kinda surprised that she of all people would run into one of Japan's most elite warriors. Sure, I'd like that. Good, but first, Izuku says before walking back into the store, and not even 2 minutes later comes out with an umbrella. Here, you might need this. Izuku says, smiling. I thank you, she says as Izuku puts his helmet back on before grabbing his groceries. The two begin head to the train station as the two walk in silence, as Fumi speaks up. Aren't you getting wet? You could catch a cold, she says. You don't have to worry about me, ma'am. My Amore has a built-in heating unit. I'm perfectly fine, but I appreciate your concern. Then, to Izuku's surprise, she puts the umbrella under both of them as she smiles, making Izuku smile and nod in appreciation. The two then arrive at the station as Izuku removes his helmet to tell her goodbye. Hope you get home safe. What's your name, ma'am? Izuku asks. Oh, I'm Fumi Todoroki, you? Well, my name is Izuku Midoriya, but you call me Deku or Midoriya if you like. Well, thank you. Midoriya, I'll pay you back for the umbrella. I promise. Keep it, you need it more than me. Fumi smiles before entering the train, turning to him a final time. Thank you again, Midoriya, I hope we meet again soon, she says with a sweet smile and a small blush on her face. You're welcome, Ms. Todoroki, safe travel. Izuku says. The door to the train closes as Izuku puts his helmet back on before making an important realization. Wait, what? Did she say her name is Todoroki? Izuku shouts internally, realizing that woman was Shoto Todoroki's older sister. Really hope she doesn't tell Todoroki about this, he thinks before heading home. Izuku is currently at the UA gate, But the problem is that there is a crowd of reporters trying to go through the gate. I guess they somehow found out All Might is working at UA as a teacher. Ugh, crowds are the worst. This is supposed to be Fox's job. Izuku says slowly, reaching down for his DC-17 pistols and setting them to stun, just in case things get out of hand. Hey trooper, what's your rank and position here at UA, and what's it like being around All Might? A woman asked. I'm a captain, and my position here is classified. Now leave before things get out of hand. Izuku orders hands on his pistols. The reporter recoils in fear, but bravely stands her ground. Please, we just want to see All Might, she says, grabbing his arm. Having enough of this nonsense, Izuku pulls his arm away from her, looks up, and smiles before taking a few steps back. Sorry, miss, but I am late for my daily patrol. Goodbye, Izuku says, turning and walking. The reporter, not wanting to give up, tries to enter the gate, but is stopped by the gate's barrier, blocking her way. Ha ha. Izuku laughs, finding the whole thing hilarious as he makes his way to his office before starting patrol. Knowing if any one of those reporters breaks through, he will have to forcibly remove them. Later, Captain Deku walks through the halls, but is mostly keeping his eyes on the front gate, and so far, no reporters have gotten inside. Beep, beep. Izuku hears his comlink beeping as he hits the button. Yes? He asks, hoping there hasn't been a perimeter breach. Problem soldier, come to 1A for a moment, Aizawa says before ending, going silent. In Class 1A, you need a class representative, Aizawa says. A normal activity. The class yells, choose me. I want to be representative. Kirishima says, raising his hand excited. No, me, I want it. Kaminari says, I will too. Koika says, someone with style should. Yuga tries to say, but is cut off by Mina. I'm totally the right choice for this. Mina says, everyone silence, please. Ida yells, getting everyone's attention. A representative's job is to lead others. This not something that just anyone can do. You must have earned the trust of everyone in the classroom. Therefore, we must position a democracy and choose our representative. Ida says, shaking his hand. Is that really a good idea? Kaminari asks. We've all only known each other for a few days. How do we know we can trust each other? Sue says with a finger on her chin. Yeah, besides, everyone will just vote for themselves. Kirishima says. Most people will vote for themselves. But whoever gets the most votes is the one best suited for the job. That's the best way, right, sir? Ida asks as Aizawa gets into his sleeping bag. The final choice goes to the problem soldier. Then, right on cue, Izuku enters the classroom. Aizawa, what is the... Izuku stops to see Aizawa already on the ground asleep. Situation? He asked before turning to the class. What's going on? We are trying to figure out who our class representative will be, Captain Midoriya. The final decision is yours. Ida says, pick me. True says, no me. Moneta shouts. Izuku sighs, knowing this isn't getting anywhere, as he takes off his helmet and gives the class a glare that tells them to shut up. Class representative, huh? Izuku thinks, putting his hand on his chin, thinking for a moment before making a decision. Ida, you will be the class representative. Yaoyorozu, you will be his assistant. Izuku says, shocking the students, as Ida and Yaoyorozu walk to the front of the class. All right, your class representative is Ida with Yaoyorozu as the vice representative. Izuku says, hey Midoriya. That means that Ida and Yaoyorozu can give you orders. Heroes outrank Japan troopers, right? Sato asked. In my book experience, outranks everything. Izuku responded. Later, everyone is eating lunch in the school cafeteria as Izuku eats together with Ida and Ochako. This rice is delicious. Uraraka says while eating. Yeah, better than the food back at command and way better than that rations we are given. Izuku says while eating katsudon. Hey there, Deku. The trooper and two students to see Maeda Fuwa with a tray of food. Do you mind if I join you? Oh, Maeda, good to see you, sure. Izuku says as she sits down next to him. Hi, I'm Maeda Fuwa from Class 2A. Nice to meet you. She says, smiling. Nice to meet you, senpai. It's an honor to sit with an upperclassmate. I'm Tinya Ida. He says, shaking his head. Hi, I'm Ochako Uraraka. Nice to meet you too. Do you two know each other? She asks, confused. Yeah, a few weeks ago, he saved my life. She says, turning and looking at Izuku with a loving smiling and blush. Sorry, there's just not a lot of pictures of Maeda Fua. Uraraka then begins to feel something in her heart, and it hurts, with Yaoyorozu, who's sitting with Todoroki having a similar feeling. What is this feeling? Why do I feel this way? I already have a boyfriend. Both girls think, frowning. So, how have you been doing, Fua? I'm doing great. The classes are much harder than they were last year, but so far, I'm doing good. She says, eating. Good, just keep it up, and you'll do amazing things as a hero. Izuka says, smiling. Maeda blushes, feeling like an arrow has pierced her heart, as she is about to ask Izuku if he would be like to hang out sometime, when suddenly, Security Level 3 has been breached. All students promptly evacuate. A robotic female voice says, making everyone understand that there's an emergency. Izuku immediately grabs his helmet before running down the hallway. Wait, Deku! Fua shouts, but Izuku is already gone. Aizawa, what's the situation? Do you need help? Izuku asks, holding the button on his helmet. Relax, problem soldier, it's only the press. Me and Present Mike can handle them until the cops show up. Roger that. I'll try to calm down the students. Izuku says, only to turn to see several hundreds of students running towards him. Everyone stop. It's only the press. Izuku says, trying to calm everyone down, but to no avail, now trapped inside the traffic jam of students, and then, eep. Izuku looks down, and his face goes pale under his helmet, looking into the appealing obsidian eyes of Yaoyorozu. Didi Deku, she shouts, embarrassed considering Izuku had just unintentionally pinned her against the wall. Yaoyorozu, it's only the press outside. They are the ones who trespassed. We need to stop everyone before it gets seriously hurt. Izuku says as people hit his armor. Yaoyorozu's eyes widen before sharply getting focused, already having an idea. I'll create a microphone. That way they'll hear you. It will only take a moment. Yaoyorozu explains before rolling up her sleeve, as a light quickly engulfs her skin before a rad-handled microphone. Amazing. Great work, Yaoyorozu here. Izuku says, taking off his helmet and giving it to her, and then Izuku turns to see a girl he does not recognize with short black hair holding her face, tears in her eyes, making Izuku realize she got separated from her class as the two lock eyes. Izuku freezes to see BLD dripping from her nose, and she looks like she's struggling to even speak. Why the hell isn't someone helping her? She's hurt. His anger growing by the carelessness of the students. Izuku activities his jetpack, getting above everyone, and yells, "Stop!" He screamed immediately. Everyone in the hallway turned their attention to the flying ARC Trooper captain. Do I have all of you idiots' attention now? Thanks to your panicking, like DMN cowards. Look around you. Look at all the students that got hurt. He yells. All the students look around in disbelief, realizing that some of them are hurt and scared, probably because they got separated from their classmates and beaten and shoved around, making them all feel guilty. How did they not notice? Izuku sighs before speaking again. It's just the press. None of you are in danger. Everyone is safe, I promise, and above all you're training to be heroes, right? Act like it. Izuku says, now feeling a bit more relaxed as Yaoyorozu speaks up. You heard Captain Deku. Now please, everyone, form lines to exit, one class at a time to avoid any more accidents. Momo says as Izuku lands next to her as she hands him his helmet. Izuku nods, smiling, proud of how focused Yaoyorozu was at helping him stop this chaos. Momo smiles back before she begins directing the other students. Izuku makes his way to the black-haired girl. She is short, with black bob-shaped hair. She is fair-skinned with a neutral expression, aside from the tears in her eyes, which are cerulean, as she looks up at Izuku. Miss, are you all right? Izuku asks, only to get no response. You're not much of a talker, are you? That's all right here. Izuku says, pulling something from his belt. First, Izuku pulls out a handkerchief, gently wiping the BLD from her nose. Before, grabbing something else. This is a back-to-patch. It should help with the pain, but we should get you to Recovery Girl immediately, he says, putting the patch over her nose before helping her up. Thank you, the girl says. Izuku looks at the girl. Even though she was hurt and had been crying, she seemed totally calm now. You're welcome. What's your name, miss? Izuku asks as the two walk to Recovery Girl's office. I'm Yui Kodai, from Class B. You are Deku? She asks, curious, her face not leaving its nurture expression. Yes, but you can also call me Midoriya if you prefer. Izuka says, smiling. The two continue walking as Yui begins to have these strange feelings, having butterflies in her stomach as she looks at Izuku and feels her cheeks turn red. Do I have a crush? She asked herself. Izuku sighs, waiting outside of Recovery Girl's office as the door opens. Yui Kodai walks out now healed. There you go, young lady, now off to class. Chio says as the two walk together, an awkward silence between them. So, Kodai, what's your quirk? Izuku asked her, trying to make things less awkward. My quirk is called size, she says before putting her hand on her pocket as she pulls it out to reveal a metal bolt. Izuku's eyes widen as the bolt suddenly begins to get bigger, becoming twice as big, now covering less than half her hand. I can make any non-living objects bigger or smaller. Then I can make them go back to their original size if I press my fingertips together. She explained calmly. Wow, that's incredible, Yodai. You could change the sizes of battle droids or even destroyer droids. If you could find a way past their shields. Izuka says, I'm not really used to using it in more stressful situations. She says, her eyes closing a little, looking ahead at the hallway. My best friend Kendo is a martial artist. She helped me to be a little more attentive during fights, but I'm still nervous. I still have to get close to the enemy to use my quirk. She says as Izuka nods, understanding. What's your quirk? She asks, tilting her head, curious. For a moment, he is caught off guard by her question before he sighs. Quirkless, hope that doesn't bother you. Izuku says, rubbing the back of his head. Yui's eyes widen only a little, but then she shakes her head. Not at all, I think that's amazing. She says. Really? Izuku asked, surprised. She says before continuing. The survival rate of quirkless kids is extremely low. Most commit suicide before they turn 10 due to mistreatment and bullying. That's what makes you special. Despite everything that probably happened to you, you keep fighting to save and help others. I really like that about you. Yui says, turning to the ARC captain. Izuku turns to face her, shocked as Yui, if ever so slightly, smiles at the ARC trooper. As she's smiling, it's kinda cute. She should smile more often. Izuka thinks, smiling back at her, and then, Yui, there you are. The trooper and hero student turns to see a girl with long orange hair tied in a ponytail with teal blue eyes. Before she runs up to Yui and hugs her. I'm so glad I found you. Do you have any idea how worried I was? She says. Don't worry, miss. Kodai got hurt a bit when all the students panicked, but she's fine now. Izuku says as she looks at him. Thanks for helping, Yui. I'm Itsuka Kendo, the class representative of 1B. Izuku smiles, accepting the handshake, looking the girl in the eyes, admiring how pretty they are before responding. You too. My name is Izuku Midoriya, but you can call me Deku, Captain and Advanced Recon Commando of the Grand Army of Japan. He says, shocking her. A Japanese trooper? Wow, that's amazing. Do you know martial arts? Yeah, spent part of the last 10 years of my life in combat education and martial arts programs. 10 years. She shouts, surprised. I'm a martial artist myself. My quick big fist allows me to enlarge both of my hands to enormous sizes. Maybe we could spare some time. She says, smiling. Sure, but I'm warning you now. Even though you're a girl, I won't go easy on you. Izuka says, that's exactly what I want, no holding back. Well, it was nice talking to you, Captain, but Yui and I must get back to class. See you later. She says, you too, and Kodai, take care of yourself. Izuku says, smiling before putting his helmet on and leaving. Yui waits as Izuku leaves and begins to feel strange. Several guys here at UA have already tried to ask her out, but were either too creeped out by her and backed off, or she would simply walk away. But that green armored trooper wasn't, and went out of his way to help her when he didn't have to. He even spoke to her with kindness, even helped her, and that's something she won't be forgetting anytime soon. As her cheeks turn red, her ghost of a smile returning. Itsuka turns to her friend, seeing this, as Kendo giggles, deciding to tease her friend. Looks like someone's got a crush on that handsome soldier. She says, you seemed really interested in him as well. Yui says, still looking ahead of them. Kendo freezes, blushing, surprised by Yui's comeback. Why, Yui? It's not like that. I just met the guy? She shouts, embarrassed. So did I? She says before putting her hand over her heart. I hope I can see Midoriya again soon. She thinks as they head to class. Meanwhile, Aizawa and Present Mike stand in front of the massive crowd of reporters that somehow managed to get past the gate, which is now a pile of ash where it used to be. Bring All Might out here. We know he's in there. A man in the crowd shouts. We told you he's off duty today. Present Mike shouts loudly. Just a single word from him, then we'll all go away. Another man shouts, trying to convince the two heroes to let them through, but to no avail. You'll just want another statement from him after you get the first one out, and so on. Go away now. Aizawa says, growing irritated. Present Mike then gets closer to the underground hero and whispers in his ear. You know they are trespassing. That means they're kind of like villains, so why don't we just beat them up? He asked, hoping the answer would be yes. Don't. Unless you want your name dragged through the mud. Let's wait for the cops. Aizawa says, his eyes moving to the pile of ash. Then, to their surprise, it isn't the cops that arrive but two red Japanese gunships as one of them lands in front of the two heroes. The doors open, revealing several Japan shock troopers led by Commander Fox, as he and the soldiers point their weapons at the crowd of reporters. Everyone get out of here now. This is UA property, and anyone who refuses to leave will be arrested immediately. Fox orders as the reporters look at him shocked before backing off. Later, midnight, Recovery Girl, 13 stand together with Principal Nizu as he speaks with Commander Fox. Thank you for getting rid of the reporters, Commander Fox. Sir, how could ordinary members of the press be able to do something like this? I can have them all brought in for questioning if you wish. That will be unnecessary, Commander. I don't believe it was a member of the press that did this. Perhaps a villain entered? Or is this a declaration of war? Nizu asked. I'll order for a squad of my best troops to be stationed here. Fox Day's about to hit the comm link in his helmet only for Nizu to stop him. That will also be unnecessary. We already have one of your army's best stationed here. Who? Fox asked. Captain Deku. Nizu says with a smile. Fox freezes, looking up to see from one of the windows, Captain Deku staring at him, with nothing but hatred in his eyes. He will never forgive the commander for killing Fives. You understood, sir? If you need support, just contact command. Fox says before getting into the gunship and taking off, leaving Nizu and the teachers to look at once had been the metal gate. Later, today's basic hero training class will have 3 teachers, me All Might, 1 other, as well as the problem soldier. Aizawa says, making all the students wonder who the other teacher will be. Really, what kind of training are we doing? Zero asked. Aizawa then takes out a card with the word rescue on it. Rescue. You'll be dealing with natural disasters, shipwrecks, and other stuff like that. Rescue. One of the main objectives of being a soldier, to save as many lives as possible. Izuka thinks, standing behind Aizawa. Disasters. Looks like we're all getting ready for a big workout, huh? Kaminari asked, making the rest of the class excited. Absolutely. Ashido says excitedly. This is the stuff of a true hero. I'm already excited. Kirishima says. I'm not done yet. You can all decide if you want to wear your costumes or not. Now, the problem soldier has something to say to you all. He says as everyone turns to Izuku. Listen, I understand you're all excited. But remember, stay focused and complete your objectives. This training is also going to be off campus, so we're taking a bus to get there. That's all. You're dismissed. Izuka says. With that, the students rose from their seats and began to get ready for rescue training. Later, problem soldier, the bus is here. Tell everyone to get in. Aizawa says. Copy that. All right, everyone get on the bus. Izuku says about to go inside when Ida stops him. Captain Midoriya, don't you think we should all line up so the bus will be well organized? The class representative. Ida, it's a public bus. There's more than enough room. I didn't think it would be this kind of bus. Forgive me, Captain. Don't worry about it. Now get everyone else on here. The ARC captain orders leaving the class representative to get everyone inside. As they are heading to the rescue training, many of the students have noticed that Izuku isn't seating. Instead, he's holding on to one of the handles standing. Midoriya? Izuku turns, looking at Tsu. Yes, Tsu? Izuku asked. Tsu is a little surprised. Most of the class tends to forget to call her that. Yet Midoriya hasn't, and that makes her smile. I was wondering why you were standing. Yeah, Greenie, you look like you're ready to jump out of this bus any second. Greenie, Huff Eyes would have found that funny if he was still here. Izuka thinks sadly before speaking. Sorry, I'm not used to riding on buses and trains, I'm normally inside a low-altitude assault gunship, and when those transports land, you have to be ready to jump out and fight the battle in front of you. Izuku explains. I have to say, Midoriya, even though you're quickless, you seem to be just as flashy and strong as Bakugo and Todoroki. I doubt that. Todoroki thinks pertaining to be asleep. Bakugo is always very angry and seems to have violent behavior, so he probably won't be popular. I'm surprised he even managed to get Ochako to like him. What did you say, Frog Girl? You want to fight? Bakugo shouts. See, she says while pointing at Bakugo, making the ARC Trooper captain laugh. Ahaha. What's so funny, Deku? Bakugo says. What a vulgar conversation. Momo says while covering her mouth. I like things like this. Ochako says, smiling. Bakugo is about to get up and try to fight Izuku, only for Aizawa to interrupt them. Stop it, we're here. As everyone gets off the bus, they are greeted by someone. I've been waiting for you all, she says, surprising the students who are in front of them. The space hero, 13, the heroine who has saved people in several disasters. Izuku says, taking off his helmet. 13 is my favorite heroine. Ochako says excitedly. Haha, yeah, I see why. You both have quicks related to space. Izuku says as they enter the building, they are all amazed by its size. There were buildings, mountains, waterfalls, and 2 mini doors, one for burning buildings, the other for storms. Wow, it looks like a theme park in here. Kirishima says, amazed. Yeah, my squad would love this if they were here right now. They'd be having a blast. Izuku says in a sad voice. Aizawa then walks over to 13, realizing that someone is missing. Hey 13, shouldn't All Might be here by now? He said he used all his power on the way to work today, doing a lot of hero stuff. He's resting in the staff office right now. She explained. I swear one of these days. All right, well, just start without him. Aizawa says. Very well, but before we start, let me say one thing, or 2, 3, 4, 5. And the number only keeps growing. You must already know my quick, the black hole, right? With this power, I can SCK up anything and turn it to dust. You used your quirk to save people from all sorts of disasters, weren't you? Ochako asked. Yes, but it's a power that can kill easily. Some of you have quicks like that, right? The students remained silent as Izuku begins to notice something. He had tried to contact All Might to make sure he was all right, only to get nothing. Something's wrong, he thinks, becoming alert and ready. In a superhuman society, quicks have been certified and strictly regulated, so it doesn't seem like a problem. However, many quirks can easily kill with one wrong move. As 13 is talking to the students, Izuku walks over to Aizawa. Mr. Aizawa, we have a problem. Izuku says serious. Which is? But before Aizawa can ask, the building's lights begin to flicker until everyone notices something in the distance. As Izuku puts his helmet on and lowers his macro binoculars to get a closer look as a purple portal opens. Intruders, protect the students. Izuku yells, pulling out his DC-17 pistols, while Aizawa and 13 get into fighting positions. Hey, what's going on? Kirishima asks, confused. Stay back. This is real. Those are real villains. Izuku orders as 2 men exit the portal, one with black skin and one with a hand over his face. SHD, this is bad. Izuku thinks. Cornered by criminals, the students of Class 1A have no idea what to or how to handle themselves in this situation. As the villains get closer, Izuku gets in front of them. Everyone fall back. All of you go and find All Might or anyone else. Me, Aizawa, and 13 will hold them off. Izuku says, pistols pointed at the villains. Doing as they were told, they were suddenly intercepted by the villains and were completely surrounded. Teachers, Captain Deku, what do we do? Ida yells. But before Izuku can say anything, he and the students of Class 1A are suddenly warped to different locations by the villain Kirojiri. Aizawa noticed this and is curious about that move. Who are you? And why are you here? You obviously have us in your sights and could kill us at any moment. So why not finish us off? Aizawa asked, looking at the warped villain and the man with a hand over his face. Perceptive, aren't you, Eraserhead? Well, we just really want to kill All Might and destroy everything he stands for. That's all. And how would a skull like you accomplish that? Aizawa asked. It's simple. We kill All Might, and everything falls. Can't get any easier than that. The pale man says. Then you're in for a disappointment. It doesn't matter whether or not you kill All Might. There will always be another hero to stop you. Aizawa says, still in his fighting stance. So I'm told, Kurogiri, warp everyone towards the ants we have. Scattered. I'm gonna talk to erase your head. The pale man says, scratching himself. Underwood Shigaraki. Kurogiri says as he begins to dissolve. After the mist villain disappeared, the man turned to Aizawa. Oh yeah, you asked who I was, right? Well, erase your head. I'm Tamura Shigaraki, and I'm here to kill All Might. With Izuku. Ah! Izuku falls through the portal, trying to activate his jetpack, but it's too late as Izuku falls into water. Water? That guy must have a quick that can teleport people. I should still be in USJ. They said they're here to kill All Might, but he's not here, and that guy with the hand over his face, it must have been him who destroyed the school gate. There's a lot more going on than we currently know. Izuku thinks, swimming to the surface. And then, suddenly, a shark-like person swims towards him at high speeds. As an ARC trooper, Izuku had been trained to fight in many different environments, including underwater, but he doesn't have the proper gear or equipment, and his DC-17 pistols were not designed to be used underwater, and just when he thought he was about to be shark food, Tiu, who is holding Mineta, appears and kicks the villain on the face. Hey, Captain Midoriya, she says before throwing her tongue out and curling it around the trooper. After doing so, Tiu swims at high speeds with the word the three escaping the villain. The three finally arrive to a boat in the middle of the water as Tiu rises to the surface, lifting the ARC trooper up and putting him on the boat safely as the captain removes his helmet, falling to his knees exhausted. You know, for a frog, you have nice melons. Mineta says while leaning his head on the girl's chest, making her blush embarrassed. She then throws Mineta onto the boat hard, making him jump with the impact of pain. Tiu then climbed onto the boat, using her hands and feet. Sue. The girl is surprised when Captain Deku takes her hand. You saved my life. Thank you. I owe you my life. Izuka says, smiling. Tsuyu blushes, looking away shyly. It was nothing. Karoshi says, smiling back. Ow. Thank you for saving my life, Tsuyu. Mineta says, rubbing his back in pain. Call me Tsu, and you're welcome. But if you teach my BRSD again, I'll drown you myself. She says, making Mineta shack in fear and making Izuku irritated. I'll deal with you later. For now, we should focus on our current situation. Izuku says, putting his helmet back on. Yeah, you're right. This situation is pretty bad. Yes. But what that villain said, they knew who all would be here. They must have taken the school's files while we were all eating. The teachers were busy dealing with the press, so these guys were waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. Izuka says, hey, wait a minute here. It's not like those guys can actually kill All Might. As soon as he gets here, he's going to beat up all those villains until there's no one left. Mineta says, punching the air. Mineta. Tsuyu says, what? Think about it. If the villains spent so much time planning this attack, then they probably had figured out a way to kill All Might. And didn't you hear what that mist villain said? Maybe we should worry about just staying alive. Otherwise, we might not even get the chance to see All Might again. And even if we do, how will we be able to stay alive? Tsuyu says, making Mineta cry and start to panic. No, the pro heroes are going to save us, aren't they? Captain Deku, tell her to stop it. Mineta says, looking at the ARC captain, but he remains silent. Izuku then notices something coming from the water at high speeds. All three see that the villains are coming for them. Miserable, I'm going to kill you. Ah, the villains are here. Mineta screams in fear. Pow, pow, pow. Izuku opens fire with his DC-17 pistols, causing the villains to go back under the water. Sue is right. If they are here to kill All Might, then they must have a way to defeat him. They wouldn't have planned this attack if they hadn't, but why only All Might? Is it because his existence discriminates against villains? But it doesn't matter. Izuka thinks, turning to his two friends. If these guys have a way to beat him, then we must stop whatever it is they're planning. We must all three work together to survive, and no one at Udata knows what's happening. And the comms are completely dead, so I can't call for reinforcements, so it depends on us. Let's get this done. Izuka says, inspiring Tsuyu and Mineta. Meanwhile, in a different location, Shoto Todoroki spreads ice across the floor, hitting several villains until they are all frozen in place, while in another location, Bakugo blasts a villain in the face, fighting alongside Kirishima. Back with Izuku. What? Are you crazy? How can you want to fight? Mineta screams hearing the captain's plan. These guys might actually be able to kill All Might, and you want to try to stop them. The best way to survive this is to wait for a professional to come here and save us. You're forgetting something, Mineta. Izuka says. What? Mineta says. I am a professional, maybe not as a hero, but still I know what I'm doing. Izuku says as he and Tsuyu look down at the water. Those villains in the water clearly have the advantage. We should assume that there's more out there. Izuka says. If that's the case, they probably already knew what was inside the USJ from the beginning. Yes, but something is bothering me. Tsu, they sent you here. Karo? What does that have to do with anything? Mineta, Tsu has a huge advantage in water, so that makes me think they have no idea what your quirks are. You're right. If they know I'm a frog, they probably would have sent me to the fire zone instead of here where there is water. Karo, they probably sent us to different locations since they didn't know your powers and simply planned to overwhelm us in numbers. A good tactic, but numbers aren't everything. Izuku then looks down to the water and notices none of the villains have actually tried to get on the boat. Look, none of them are trying to get on the boat. That means they're not underestimating us. They're being smart and playing it safe. I can come up with a plan to defeat them, but I need to know both of your quicks. Izuku explains. My quick makes me jump really high, obviously, and it makes me grab onto walls, and I can stick my tongue out like a frog can. But I have a limit of 20 meters. I can also spit out my stomach so I can clean it, but that's useless, and I can secrete a toxic mucus, but it just gives a stinging sensation. Tsuyu says before continuing. We can probably use my tongue and jump, so just forget about the last things. That's amazing. Tsu, I knew you were strong. As you know, I'm quickless. I have no power, but I do have my armor, my jetpack as well, but it's been damaged by the water, so it's completely useless, and I do have my hand pistols. Izuku says pulling them out from his holsters. Oh, and this. Izuku says pulling a round device from the back of his belt. This is a beradium core thermal detonator. It's meant to be used as a last resort. However, if I can set it to maximum explosive power, it should create a blast just large enough to take them out. Izuku says as Mineta pulls a ball out from his hair, with a new one quickly coming back in its place. I have these sticky balls that grow on my head. He says putting the ball on the wall, leaving it stuck there. Their strength varies. Depending on how I'm feeling, they can cling to something all day. They come back and grow as fast as I pull them. But my head bleeds if I pull. To many and they won't stick to me. Once Mineta is done, the Arc Captain and Frog Girl stare at him until he starts to cry. HHH, don't look at me like that. That's why I said we should wait for the heroes. My quick is not meant for battle. Mineta, calm down. If you use it strategically, your quirk could cause big problems for the enemy. Izuka says. Then suddenly a hand made of water appears and cuts the ship in half, as the trooper and two students cling on to something as the ship rocked. That's a strong power. The ship even broke. Tsuyu says as Mineta starts throwing ball at the villains. Wait, Mineta, don't. If you keep doing that, they'll know of your power. Izuku asks as he looks down to the water to see the villains moving away from the floating ball. This is it. We're gonna die? Mineta yells, freaking out. Mineta, are you sure that being a hero is the right thing for you? She asks. Hey, shut up. It's not weird to be scared. We just graduated from middle school. I never thought we'd have to face death in only the first few days at Udade. I'm going to die without ever touching Yaoyorozu's huge melons. Angered that Mineta would even think about touching his friend like that, and also wanting to figure out how to calm the situation a little, Izuku punches Mineta in the face, shocking both him and Tsu. Though for Tsu, it was somewhat satisfying. Listen here, kid. Nobody is going to die here, got it? We want to get out of this mess alive. We have to calm down and work together. You're a hero in training, so start acting like it. The captain says serious before going to the side of the boat. I remember something All Might said on TV once. When an enemy is sure they have won, that's when they make a mistake. And these guys' mistake was underestimating us. We can win this. So Mineta? Why yes. He asks, still scared. I want you to throw as many balls as possible into the water. Some of them should stick to the villains. I could use my pistols to take them out, but I need to save ammunition. Tsu, take Mineta with you when you make the jump, but only do that when I give the signal. Tsu, grab me with your tongue when you jump, understood? Karo, but what about you? She asks, worried for Izuku. She doesn't show it, but she's scared too, and Izuku can tell. Look, don't be afraid. As heroes you will face more than just villains. I know you're scared, but I believe in you too. Izuku says smiling. All right, 1, 2, 3, go now. Izuku yells before jumping from the ship. Haha, fool. One of the villains says. Izuku then drops something from his hand into the water. The villains look at the device as it beefs, and then, boom. The explosion caused by Izuku's detonator blows up the villains while Mineta is throwing his ball at all the remaining villains. Ah, catch this, you evil bastard. Mineta yells as Izuku is just about to fall into the water. She grabs him. We got him. Excellent work, both of you. Izuka says. Thanks, Captain Deku. You were amazing as well. Teo says as they pass through the shipwreck, now safe because they worked together and because of Izuku being an inspirational leader. After working as a team to get rid of the villains, Teo, Mineta, and Izuku land on the shore of the beach of the shipwreck zone, looking back to see some of the villains dead, while others are trapped by Mineta's ball. Hey Mineta, how long are they going to be trapped? Izuku asked. I went to the bathroom before we arrived, so they're going to be stuck all day. Mineta says proudly. Not something I wanted to hear. Izuku thinks as Teo turns around once everyone stops walking in the water, as Izuku removes his helmet. So what's our next step? Teo asks. Well, now our priority is to get help. Maybe help the others. Maybe help the others if we can. We'll have to go along the coast to the exit. We'll avoid the square, and it might not seem like a good plan, but it's all we have. The trooper says, pointing to the entrance. But Captain, I'm still worried about Mr. Aizawa. He's still fighting against those villains alone. Teo says, looking at the square. But he can take care of them. He's a pro hero. Mineta says. Mr. Aizawa may be a pro, but right now, he's just one man fighting an entire army. Sooner or later, he's going to get overwhelmed. Izuku says. What? Don't tell me you want to. Mineta says. You two go to the exit. I'll go to Aizawa and help him with the rest of the villains. Izuku says with his DC-17 pistols ready. What? Captain Deku, do you really think that's a good idea? Teo asks. Maybe, maybe not. But I'm not just going to sit around and let Aizawa deal with those villains. Go find the others, hurry. Izuku says before walking towards where Aizawa and the villains are. Teo stares at the green armored trooper. She now sees why Ochako and Yaoyorozu admire him so much. He's amazing and also kinda hot. Deku, she thinks, scared for him. With Todoroki. So you plan to scatter us, then kill us. You seem quite unprepared. I don't think you've had any training, Shoto says. The villains are left speechless at the sheer power of Todoroki as he remembered what one of the villains said about All Might bring absence. How do they plan to kill All Might? At first, I thought they had just assembled a force of criminals who could just overpower him. He thinks, just as two villains try to attack him, Shoto uses his right leg to spread the ice and dodge the attack as the other tries to get him from behind using a stake. Todoroki freezes him when he teaches the weapon. He then turns to the villain in front of him. Listen to me. Your cells will slowly die while your body freezes, but luckily for you, I want to be a hero, so I want to avoid any unnecessary deaths. But I need information. Who are you? And why do you think you can kill All Might? He asks as the villain looks at him terrified. Momo, I hope you're all right. He thinks worried for his girlfriend. In the mountain zone. Oh. Kaminari screams as he dodges a punch from a villain and runs away. These guys are scary. My whole life just flashed before my eyes. What the hell is going on? Kaminari asked, running back to Yaoyorozu and Jiro, who are fighting the villains. Can you worry about that later? Jiro yells, annoyed by the boys screaming. Right now, we need to focus on dealing with each of them. Momo says. Then hurry up already, and give me a weapon too. Kaminari asks because Jiro has a sword while Momo is using a metal bow staff. Aren't you the electricity guy? Use it on them, and we can put an end to this. Didn't you pay attention during combat training? I can only cover my body in electricity, but if I try to throw bolts out, they'll go all over the place and hit everyone, including you. I can't control it. Besides, just like Captain Deku, my single is being jammed as well. So I'm counting on you. You can't rely on me. Aren't you supposed to be a man? You should be more like Captain Midoriya. Jiro says, though the last part was a whisper. I heard that. Kaminari yells, dodging another attack from the same guy from before, as Koika blushes, realizing what she said, then kicks Kaminari in the back towards the villains. Shut up and act like a human stun gun. Are you serious? The villain then grabs Kaminari as his quick activates and shocks the villain, but the yellow-haired boy is fine. Wait a minute. I can do it. Think I'm as good as Midoriya now? Kaminari asked, trying to show off. No, she says bluntly as a villain jumps on the 3 students with knives, but Yaoyorozu quickly creates a net and throws it at the villain, forcing him to catch and electrocuted as well. You two focus, we must take this seriously. Momo says, returning to her fighting position. Sorry, maybe next time I'll just ask. She says, plugging her headphones into her boats, making the sound louder and wider. Kaminari, you know what you should have done? You should have asked for some kind of targeting equipment when you were ordering your suit. Koike says frustrated. It's ready? Momo says. What's ready? Jiro asks, confused. It will take some time to make something big like this. She says as a big white sheet comes out from her back. A sheet? Is that supposed to be a shield? A villain mocks as Momo sticks her head out and smiles at them. This is 100 millimeters. Think insulation, now Kaminari. Momo yells, covering her and Jiro completely as Kaminari smiles, realizing what this means. I get it. You're all toast. He shouts, activating his quick, shocking everyone around him. Everyone in that blast was burning and smoking, with Momo and Koike being fine. Now we must go help the others. We should leave immediately. Momo says. Hold on. You're a bit exposed right now. She says, blushing. Momo looks down to see her melons completely exposed. Oh, it's okay. I can just make new clothes. She says as Jiro turns to see Kaminari coming towards them. Kaminari, don't look this way. Koike shouts, throwing herself in front of Momo, but he simply walks past them. Kaminari looks different with a happy face with 2 thumbs up, caused by overusing his quick, making Jiro laugh as Momo thinks to herself. I hope Shoto and Captain Deku are okay. She thinks. Back with Izuku. Izuku has reached the shore at the square, where Eraserhead is. He peers above the go to see what's going on, and is shocked to see several bodies laying on the ground, as Aizawa jumps on 2 more villains wrapping them in his scarf, and pulls them into the air before he jumps and kicks them to the ground, knocking them out. Good. Looks like Eraserhead is doing just fine. He thinks, but then Shigaraki runs towards Aizawa, who also notices the villain and runs towards him. 23 seconds. You must be the big boss. Aizawa shouts, throwing his scarf at the hand villain. 24 seconds. He says, taking the scarf. 21 seconds. Aizawa then steps forward to intercept the villain. 17 seconds. He says as Aizawa elbows him in the stomach. Izuku smiles under his helmet, but notices Shigaraki holding Aizawa's elbow. It's hard to see while the hair is moving, but eventually, it falls out. Shigaraki says, and when it falls, you've stopped using your quirk. Izuku waits in shock as Aizawa's elbow begins to crumble as the skin starts disintegrating, causing the muscles to be exposed. As Aizawa punches, Shigaraki, the villain, jumps back as Aizawa fights against the rest of the villains. This is not good. That quick of yours isn't suited for fighting large groups like this. It looks like you can't take it anymore. You work better when you're in short fights. Eraserhead, but still you even got in the middle of all of Eraserhead. He says before turning to the Nomo. Kill him. The Nomo nodded about to attack Aizawa, but then, pow pow pow. Blue blaster bolts strike the Nomo, causing it to screech in pain before falling back to Shigaraki. Aizawa and Shigaraki are surprised by our captain's attack to save the hero's life. Problem soldier? He asked, surprised and shocked by his sudden appearance. With his DC-17 blaster pistols aimed at Shigaraki and the Nomo, Izuku looks at the 2 serious and angry before turning to Aizawa. Aizawa, are you alright? He asks. What are you doing here? You should be helping the students. He says. Sorry, I was already nearby and didn't want to just let you die. Izuku says. It doesn't matter. Go meet with the others. That's an order. Aizawa says. Sir, with all due respect, when it comes to the safety of everyone, including you, I outrank everyone. So I respectfully order you to let me help you deal with these BSDRDS. Izuku says. Aizawa doesn't say anything, he only looks at the ARC trooper and then to the villains in front of them. Very well, just be careful, I've got your back. He says, getting back into a fighting stance. Sir, yes sir. Izuku says as the 2 face down the villains, Nomu and Shigaraki. This is going to be fun. Shigaraki says with an evil smile. So, this was the end of part 2 of this series. Stay tuned for next part of this series, and if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time.